All right, good evening, everybody. You are welcome to our SAKT class. Thank you for joining us today. So, last week, on a quick one, last week we started this topic on crop physiology. The facilitator exposed so many things for us. We were enlightening on where plants store water, so many things that we usually ignore. We were enlightening on it. So today he's going to continue from where he stopped with respect to this class. This particular topic is a whole course on its own, and we, even the time we are allocated for this particular class is not enough to cover the entire curriculum, but we try as much as possible to cover the ones that we're able to cover. And I believe after this class you will be enlightened. A lot of things that you usually ignore, you see a light to it. So I will call on the facilitator. He's online right now to take over the class. Please, let's give him some thumbs up as he take over the class. So, Mr. Timmy, the floor is all yours.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Next week, we discuss the basics of crop physiology, where it started. So, we discuss more on the cell and the organelles and cells. So, last week, I was able to tell you that I told you guys that before you can know crop physiology, you have to know plant physiology because crop physiology is a, a topic under plant physiology. So then from there, I started with cells. I was able to, can you all hear me very well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I started with cell. What is cell? There is basic unit of life, and that is the building block. Some people say is the building block of life, and also what it comprises, the cell membrane. That is like I describe that one like a security gate, allow things to come in and out of the cell. And I talk on chloroplast. That is why your green leaves are green. So that's where your chlorophyll is stored. So, and also I mentioned of the vacuum. Vacuum is like where your water is stored. So it's like a storage in the cell. So these are the things that when we are in school, we don't really know what it's all about. So then I mentioned something to I mentioned something that vacuum is a place where you see all those big trees. So all those big trees, because they have large vacuum, so they are able to store enough water during rainy season. So during dry season, they're able to release that water inside gradually. So that's why they can be able to sustain. If this are along the way, they share their leaves, but you don't know the reason why they share their leaves. So they're able to conserve the water they have in them. So then, and that's vacuum, that's where they store. So I mentioned of plasmodesmata. That one is where is the one that connects one cell to another. So and it is where when after we've done our cell division, because before we can have cell to cell communication, there's going to be a cell division. I think I mentioned of that too. So cell division where one cell splits into two to form another cell. So it is only one cell. I explained that it is one cell that will split into two. So, and the communication between those two cells, we have plasmodesmata. And I explained cytoplasm, that cytoplasm is the one that cements, that binds all the organelles, all the nucleus, nucleus, everything. It is the cytoplasm that cements them together. So it's like a jelly-like fluid. So that's how, and I ended the class with that. It is the cell that make up the tissue, and the tissue makes up the organ. So it is everything starts from cell, then from cell to tissue, from from tissue. Tissue are the parenchyma, the collenchyma, the phloem, and the what's it called? Phloem and the xylem. And then from there, made up to leaf, your shoot, your stem, everything. So it came from what? From the cell, then down to what? To the organ. So I think that's how I was able to explain last week. So that's the summary of what happened last week. So so for today's class, so we are now going to the crop physiology right away. So where do plants get what they used to grow? Early farmer noticed plant need soil. So now, before, they people just grow and they don't really know what really happens. They just feel that, oh, if I plant, my plant will grow. But they don't know why my plant is growing that way. If they see anything, they might think it's from the ancestors that makes it look like that. But they don't know why this thing is happening. So they grow in a better soil. Manure improves growth. They don't know why, what is. They just apply manure. They just tell them that, oh, manure. Maybe someone just takes an experiment and put manure, mistakenly put manure, and then saw difference. And this is different. Then they will start using manure, but they don't know reason why they use manure. They don't know what is inside manure. So these are the questions, but they didn't know why, and that is where crop physiology started. So let's move to the next slide. So early experiment on plant growth. So this is this man Danver Helmont. So he was the one that started this experiment on, okay, he was curious like, how does plant grow? So he did an experiment. Does soil make plant grow, or is it water? Plant grow, is it water? So he planted a small willow tree. So a tree that loves water a lot. So if you want to see a willow tree, most of the time it's around the riverside, and they use that willow tree for so many things. They want equestrian, and they want to make basket and so on the thing. So he planted this willow tree, used 200 pounds of soil, and added only water for many years. You know, it's a tree, and the result was the tree become very big and lost soil, and soil lost only tiny amount. So he discovered that after giving this willow tree what's it called, water, started giving him constant water. So that the only tiny soil that know anything about carbon dioxide, that's something carbon dioxide can, you know, can be an effect, can affect the tree. So it doesn't know anything about that. It doesn't know anything about photosynthesis. It just believe that it is only water. His own conclusion that it's only water that can make your plant to grow. So there are so many discoveries that came up. Discovery of photosynthesis, plants make their food using sunlight, and also we have dark reaction, how plants respire like human being, and plant nutrition, that mean of nutrients. So later on we start discovering that. Can we go to the next slide? So experiments are coming up from water movement in plants. It was Stephen Hills that discovered that how plants move from roots to stem to leaves. So we can see that how all these things evolved. How plants save water, opening and closing of leaves. That's stomata closing. How does water move up touch tree? Called question theory. Food movement in plants called pressure. So there are so many theories that came up along the way. So there are so many. So leaf area index, more leaf area. So we believe that when they have more leaf area, more photosynthesis and higher yield. So these are the things that came up. So birth of cross physiology was came up by W.L. Bowles 1915, and the study crops going together, not a single plant. Look at this plant spacing, population, and area. This is where term cross physiology came up. So can we go to the next slide? So we can see that it came from someone using water to conduct an experiment, and later on we start having so much experiment coming on. So what is cross physiology? This is a study of how crop plant grow, function, and produce use when they grow together in the field. Plant physiology, how a plant works. Cross physiology, how many plants together work to give a yield. So how many tomatoes in a house, give come together to give you a particular percentage of fruit. For example, one maize plant is healthy versus a whole maize produce a whole maize produce. So that is crop physiology. So that is crop physiology. Next slide, please. Now, before we understand all this, we have to know how things move in the plant, right? You have to understand the movement of all these things. So that's why we have dilution and osmosis. So I know most of us are very familiar with these things. Dilution, don't know what dilution is, don't know what osmosis is all about. So to understand transpiration photosynthesis, you must know how substance move in and out of plant cells. You must know how things work together to give you a yield. So because the derivation is the movement of molecules or particles from a region of high, I know all these things people don't really understand of, okay, from region of high concentration to, so what they are trying to say is that when you have the tiny things move from a place where there are many of them to a place where there are few of others, so it means from a place where there are many to where it is low, so from higher to low. So a movement of a tiny things. I'm using tiny things. Molecules, that molecule is a tiny thing. From what? From where there are many of them to a place where there are few. So that is diversion. Just know that one. That's diversion in the plant. So molecules always moves down. Sorry, can you go back, please? So move down the concentration gradient, allow gases and liquid is a slow process. So it's a slow process. It's moved from a very short distance. It does not require it doesn't require anything. There is a natural phenomenon. So it's a natural process. So it doesn't require any energy. It's just natural. So that can you move on? So now let me explain that division very well clearly. So division is like, uh, do you know all this coloring? I don't know, maybe all this coloring. So when you have the water, right? When you put that coloring inside, a baby food coloring inside your water, you see that without any, they spread evenly. You see that spreading going from that place to a place where there is no, that thing is not. So they move, they spread evenly. So that's how division works. So when you, or maybe you spray perfume, when you spray perfume, you see that at the end of the day, everything was spread. Everybody starts smelling that, oh, this person just sprays perfume. So that's how division works. So it spread from where, from that place where you spray that perfume to someone that is outside. That person can perceive it. So that is how division works in plants. So we have types of dilution. We have simple dilution. Tiny particles move, that's the molecules, move from where they are many to where they are, yes. They pass directly through cell membrane. They do not need help. I think I've explained that one. So what are the particles? Oxygen moving into what? Plant cells. Carbon dioxide moving out. So these things move on their own without any problem, without anything. So all these molecules move on their own without any strength. So in leaf, CO2 goes into the leaf through stomata, O2 water mirror goes out of leaf. All this happen by division. So gases, water vapor, and small dissolved substance, those are the things that move what in plant through division. So can you go to the next one, please? Now we now have what we call facilitated division. So this facilitated division, it means some particles are too big or too many. They cannot pass through the membrane. The plant uses special helper protein in the membrane. So this so it's like more like you have need an external push. So means some particles are too many, so they cannot pass through. So they need something helper. They need some help. So plants use special helper protein in the membrane, and still there's no energy is used. So some sugar, some iron move through the channels, particles there, but no energy is used. So can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So now nutrient enters in small amount because it can't go long distance. That's what dilution. So importance of dilution. In crossfit. So dilution helps plants stay alive and healthy. Gas exchange, carbon dioxide going to the leaf, oxygen goes out. You know that's how plants make up their food. So happens through stomata, transpiration, water vapor leave the leaf. I think I mentioned that one earlier, that water vapor gases. So move from inside the leaf to the hair happens by direct absorption of iron. So that's important of diversion. Can I move on? So movement of food. Food made in this spread to nearby cell. The fit help in short. I think I mentioned that earlier. That division help what in a short distance movement. In a short distance. So when you give your plant, maybe you play foliar fertilizer or whatever. So division will help you to move that nutrient to a very short distance. So it keep plant tissue moist, water spread inside the plant, keep internal organ healthy, spread substance inside the cell, and movement through the protoplast. So you can see that if you do not understand the first class, there's some things that I'm going to be saying here that will look strange. That will be like, what is it saying about cell walls? What is it saying about this? So because that's why I started with that cell, plant cell in my first class. That's the physiology class. That's class one. So help the cell works properly. So can you move to the next one? So now let's go to osmosis. So osmosis is the process of direction of water across the semi-permeable membrane. So don't worry. Osmosis, just notice this, that osmosis deals with water. I know some people be like, direction of water around the same place. Don't worry. Deals with water through a semi-permeable membrane. So it is when water moves through a thin wall to balance things out. So water moves into the cell if the cell needs water, out of the cell if the outside is too salty. So this is how osmosis work. Now, if there is less um, water outside, sorry, if there is less water inside the root, osmosis will help you naturally. If there is water outside the root, osmosis will allow the water to enter into the what? Into the root system. So it means you will tell the water that, okay, I need water. Now, that is what we call hypotonic in when crop physiology. So we call it hypotonic process. So now, water moves into the cell is water, out of the cell outside is too salty. So it is so what majority just know that osmosis deals with water. So let's move on. Now you can see this one. So too much water outside, hypotonic. Animal cell, water rushing and cell burst. Plant cell, water rushes in, become firm and healthy. So now, we human being, we are more of isotonic. The animal cell, happy and normal. So equal water, we have equal water inside, outside and inside our cell. So, but for animal, if it's like, let me just put it this way, it's like you are pumping water inside human being. That person at the end of the day is like someone that drown. You know, the cell, everything will burst. So I'm just using that one as an example. So, but plant cell, if water rushes in, cell become, because they need that water to become firm. If there is no water inside your cell, inside your plant will wilt. So now, I think I talk about the vacuum, that's where water is stored. So the plant needs water. Even if you don't give your plant nutrients, if you keep giving your plant water, even though it will show some deficiencies, you see some deficiencies on the plant, but if you keep continue giving that plant water, it will still stay firm, it still seem stand strong. So water is very essential and very important in plants. So you can see that. So hypotonic is too much water outside. How osmosis affects cells. Equal water inside, outside. Animal happy and normal. Sorry, plants cell not firm. Plants look weak. So too much salt outside. Hypotonic water outside the cell strength, and this is called plasmolysis. So cell waste, so plants suffer. I think I explained this one too. So let's move on. Now, with this explanation, you can see why When salt touches a slug outside, that means the snail outside become very salty. So when that's why some most of the time they will tell you that you should check the EC of your soil, the salt content around your root, because if there's too much salt around your root will start emitting water. Instead of taking in water, it will now give water back outside, extracting water from the root. And imagine you are extracting water from the root, so instead of you taking it out, what happens? It will die. So that person will die. It's like someone that is drinking salt water, that person will die. So that is why salt happen. And you see most of the time they will tell you that if you want to kill, even during war, they use this salt to, to kill a plant. They will put salt around crops. Why are they doing that? They know that if there is too much salt around the root of the plant, everything, they will die. They will start emitting water from the vacuum, and everything will dries up. So you see that most of the time, if I discovered that when I was growing up, that my mom said if they want to kill a plantain shoot, they need salt. I don't understand why they put salt, but they know that it will kill it. But now when I was doing this, I was able to understand that, okay, so this is what happens. So if you want to kill a plantain, because there's no how. If you want to kill a plant, you still grow. If you don't put that salt, so this is what is happening. It is osmosis at work. So let's move on. So now let's talk about solute, solvent, and solute. We need this one in have to understand this one. So what is solvent? Solvent is substance in which a solute is sought to produce a homogeneous mixture. So this is the reason why they ask you to check your EC level. You see why this one too is important. This one is important, the fertilizer giving your crop plant. So you see why most of the time you have issue with your crop. So solvent, the term is which a solute dissolve to produce a homogeneous mixture. So it's not hard. What this one is telling you that a solute is like, sorry, a solvent is like water, something that will dissolve something. So it's a solvent. Solute is what dissolves in a solvent. So solute is more like your salt. So let's move on. So in fertigation and hydroponics, water equals to solvent, fertilizer, salt is equal to solute. So you can see now that EC and ppm is your solute concentration. You have some possibility clogged deeper and nutrient imbalance. So that is why we also have nutrient imbalance in your crop. So you have to know what, okay, your EC level, so that it won't have what affect your crop system. Because if your EC level is high, that means you have more concentration of that fertilizer inside that solvent, inside that solution. So you can see the importance of solute and solvent, that is the importance of solute and solvent, and how it can affect your plant. So let's move on. So what is the solution? What get one thing mixes together to another, salt water, solute, solvent, solution. Then after mixing this together, after mixing your calcium nitrate and everything together, it becomes what is solution. When the salt disappears, everything spread evenly, solution is formed. So that's how what meaning of solution. So that's it. Can we move on? Hello? Okay. So I think I've explained this one. There, acetone have a solution. We have acetone, apotone solution. So let's move on. So acetone solution, what does it mean?
Yes,
What
we
are,
can move on, sir.
okay, we can move on. So I think I've explained that. Okay. So acetone solution best for plants. Okay, good. So why is it important in crop physiology? Explain wilting and drought. When soil is salty or dry, patonic, I think I explained that water leaf plant roots, plant with even soil looks swelled. Explain fertilizer burn. You need too much fertilizer, too much salt. Soil become hypertonic, who lose water. So you can see the importance of this in crop physiology. So water plus nutrition must be what? Must be balanced. So let's move on. Good. So now stomata opening and closing. You can see this is another course on entire on stomata physiology. So you want to go into want to know how leaf opens and closes. So you know, so what are stomata? So how does plants breathe? Stomata are what? They are like a tiny windows on leaves. They are very small holes, pores on the leaves of a tree. Then carbon dioxide enters for making food and oxygen goes out. What have we got? So this is how what plants breathe. This is how plant breathe. So they are like small holes are on the leaf area. These are small on the leaf area. So it allows what carbon dioxide, water, you know, we the human being, we what breathe out, we breathe out carbon dioxide and we breathe in oxygen. But with plants, what they do, that's the reverse case, right? They breathe in what? They breathe in carbon dioxide, and oxygen is like a waste to them. So water vapor what goes out. Without stomach, plant cannot breathe or make food. So you can see the importance of leaf. So some of you that are used to prune, that are extra prune, so you can see the importance of leaf in crop so that you not naked your plants. So you can see what these things happen, how things happen. So let's move on, please. So who controls the stomata? So who controls each stoma has two special cells called the guard cell, like a security guard. When they open, the door stoma opens. When they close, the closes. So for the shape of the guard cell, so guard cell is the one that was special that guards what? The stomata. So when those guards they open, they give way, what the stomata will open. Then for dicot, we have kidney shape. Those are the shapes of. So let's move on, please. Now, this is very important. How does stomach open and close? So now this one is particular for people that you know we like spraying in the afternoon. Some people they can spray anytime. So now opening monitor. So blue light hits leaf. That cell pump I don't hear out. This is how stomata open. You know we are talking about physiology now, crop physiology. Now this is how it opens. Blue light hits the leaf. That's the sunlight when there is light. So for sunlight emits so many lights, it emits blue and red light. So you see I'll explain that one later. Then that cell pump hydrogen and potassium k ions enter that cell. Water follows potassium inside. Gas cell become full and swollen. So that's how they open. They bend away from each other. A hole forms, then the stomach open. Closure. Water leaves gas cell. Gas cell becomes soft and weak string. They come together. So this stomach open and closing helps you to know. Because when I was studying this matter, I discovered that this stomata opening is the one that gives us okay. If you spray around that afternoon, it means especially if there is heat. So don't misquote me. If there is heat, maybe during this period like there is heat. If you try it maybe around that, you try to spray us, you see that at that point your plant is stressed. So your in the afternoon, the stomata is was partially closed. Is partially closed. So when you're going to so and you now spray at that time, it means you are even more stressing the plant, your crop, your tomato, your cucumber, everything. You see that at that point you are what? You are more stressing the plant. So you have to know how these things works. So let's move on, please. So dicot, more stomata on the lower leaves, tomato. So there's more stomata on the lower leaves. Monocot equal on both sides. Mortar plants, floating leaves. So these are the different time where they are found, the stomata are found. So let's move on. So so if they ask you where your own stomata for your tomatoes, for people who are vegetable farmers, so they know that your own there is more stomata at the lower leaves, at the upper, sorry, than the one at the upper. So how many students are found in the area of it can be 1,000 to 60,000. So trees are crops are stomata more than herbs. When open, stomata open. So you can see that if have like a tree now, you have tree and shrub, they have more what? They have more leaves. They have more leaves, right? So you can see that they will have more than when you have your tomato. Do you get that? Do you all get that?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So thank you. So can we move on?
All right.
So start to turn based on position. So I think I've explained this too. More on lower leaves, upper leaf potato. So you know that your vegetables that this vegetable have more on the lower, few on the upper. So now there's something that I want to really make emphasis on. Now there's a saying then that when you cut the when I was when they said that when you cut leaf in the morning, sorry, in the night, when you call it in the night, that it won't work. Whatever I want to use that leaf to do will not work. No, it look like a mite or something. So with this closing of this tomato and this, I was able to discover that in the morning, open stomach allow excess water to escape quickly. So when you cut leaf in the day, the plant tends to what? Tends to heal faster rather. So another point, fungi, bacteria, they are very hard what to enter. Do you get that? So when you cut leaves, so and also at that point, all the systems like let me explain it this way. It's like when a bank open, whether you go maybe a shop, a supermarket open in the morning. All activities start. You can buy whatever you like, you can do whatever you do with it, you enjoy, right? But now they now said they will close by 4. Now when there by 4 or 5, it means whatever you want to do shut down. You can't do anything. That is how stomata 2 works. Stomata open and close. So for some plants, even though some plants, most of them, their own opens in the night. Yes, yes, in the night. But for most crops, major crops, in the evening, once it's evening, they close it. So it means that all the event, all the sugar, whatever that is going through the plant shuts down till the next day. So if you pluck those leaves, it means they have more slow process. There will be slow processes. They won't able to heal fast. You understand? So they have fungi, everything will enter disease. They can have no. At that point, they've closed. So anything can enter. Thieves can come, close down, supervisor can enter in the night and break the stuff. So it's more like that with stomata opening and cutting of leaves. So that mite that look like a mite is might not be a mite, it's true. So with this crop is already able to understand that. So I think I've made justice to that. So so you can see that if you cut can cause what bacteria, we see that more fungi even in the night will be for bell pepper. If you prune, that's even pruning itself. So it is here I discovered that okay, pruning very early in the morning. If you want to prune when you want to prune your plant, prune early in the morning, so that when anything happens or whatever, it won't affect your plant. So let's move on, please. So we have photoactive opening light. So I think that one. So let's go to transpiration. Thank you. Thank you for that. They still have time. Shit. Oh, sorry. Let's go to transpiration. So let's move on, please. So then when we use water to just like human sweat. So that's how plants sweat. Plants take in water from the soil through the roots. Most of the water goes to the leaves and make a lot of it goes out into the air as water vapor. So this transpiration is more of like how plants sweat. Do you get that? So this more, can we move on because of time? So how does water leave the plant? Through tiny holes. You can see now, you can see the stomata now. They're very important. You can see how leaves is more very important. You know, root is very important. You see, leaf is very important. So if you prune anywhere, you can see what is going to happen to your plant. About 90% of water leaves the plant through these holes. Think also like a tiny on the leaves. I think I've done this one. Just this one. Let's move on. So leaf have a skin, waxy skin called the cortical to stop water from escaping. So on the skin of the leaves, you have what we call waxy cortical. So most, if you see all those xerophyte plants, all those plants that they can adapt through what's it called that drought season. So they have very thick quasi cortical that can allows them what to conserve water. So if there is so much sunlight, they won't really transpire. They won't really transpire more a lot of water out of the system. So they have to conserve. So inside the leaf, the hair is wet. As water outside the leaf, the hair is dry. Just look at it like okay, outside the leaf more dry. So inside the leaf is wet because water always move from wet place to dry place. So it means from wet what where there is wet to a dry place. So water everyone moves from inside what the leaf into the air. So let's move on, please. So importance for transpiration pulls water from the root to the leaf, carrying nutrients and minerals, cools the plant. So most importantly, you will note this one that transpiration cools your plant, help plant breathe. So if there is high heat, you can see that they call transpiration necessary evil. I used to hear this thing when I was in school, but I don't know the meaning of why they call it necessary evil. Plant needs it to breathe and cool itself. Now, too much of it what can harm your plant. If your plant can transpire during this heat season like that, they transpire more, right? They transpire more. So you see that your plant go through stress, your crop go through stress during the afternoon. So at that point, what they need most is sometimes give them water to cool their system. They need water. Most of the time, no, if probably you have a tank that have maybe separate nutrient from what's called water, you can just give them water. But no, most time have the two together. So at that point, they need what more things just to balance the stress. So that's it. Let's move on, please. So I will have to rush this through this. Sorry. So why are leaf greens? You know, everybody looking at why leaf greens. Leaf has special color called pigment, and this pigment can catch sunlight so make food. So there are three main pigments. I talk about chloroplast, chlorophyll A. So chlorophyll A is what the main worker. So let's move on. So these are the things that work in the system. So sunlight have many colors. Chlorophyll A and B, we have the red light, blue light. So it is the blue light that helps with the red light. So I just note that place. So let's move on. So what happens if a plant grows in the dark? When there is no light, plant cannot make chlorophyll. So looks little grow long and this is what we call this is when you don't maybe you nurse your seed and you're able to carry them out. Maybe you do not notice that they've emerged. So you now leave them. So you see that your plant will etiolate, right? So you see them having long neck. They were looking for light. So that's it. So that's what that place means. So if plant grows in the dark, your crop whatever. So let's move on. I think I've got less than 15 minutes. So how does photosynthesis work? So sunlight, through sunlight, when there is sunlight, no carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide plus water plus light gives you what? Glucose plus oxygen. Oxygen is just a waste. So it's just the one that comes out. It's like our own carbon dioxide. So this food is what become leaf, fruit, flower, fruit, whatever. So no photosynthesis, no yield. You can see why important that we have light. If there's no light, your plant cannot grow. So your plant need light. So I can see. Hello. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. How do alpha pigment help? So they catch sunlight. You can see that chlorophyll. They catch sunlight and pass energy to the chlorophyll. Then use them to make. So let's move on. That's what we call inductive resonance. So let's move on, please. Yeah, 40 minutes. So it is that chlorophyll A. After joining, they work together. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B on the leaves. They work together to convert light energy into the chemical energy. Do you understand that? So the chlorophyll B transferred light to A. So let's move on. I can see. So what the importance of this does to what make light energy to, so the plant makes their own food by themselves. You understand? I know some people be like, but we give them nutrients. Yes, but they still need that food from the light. They tell you that food through what sunlight. So this energy is stored as ATP, NADP, oxygen, and also glucose is made. So this is how plants sunlight into food energy. So let's move on. Let's move on, please. Let's move on. Mr. Kaya,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't say anything. No, I can't say anything.
Can you see it now?
Yes, so photosynthesis just wants to understand yield. Yield equals to photosynthesis times time. So if photosynthesis is poor, no matter fertilizer that you give your plant, it will not take it up. So knowing photosynthesis helps farmers water early morning or evening, avoid stressing plants at noon, reduce flower abortion, fertilizer efficiency. So you can see why bananas don't take up nutrients when they are stressed. So let's move on. 12 minutes. Let's move on, please. Let's move on, please. Let's move on. Transportation. So how does food move? Transportation is where food made during photosynthesis transport to other plants where it happens in the phloem. So water is moved through what sugar, milk, liquid, sucrose, and other organic compound through what from the source to the sink. So your source is your leaves. Your source is your leaves. So it moves from your leaves down to your fruit. And you see why you can see now that what we've been saying since leaves, keep talking of leaves. You can see that leaves is very important. Very, very important. You can see why some of the time I don't like pruning anyhow. Just prune everything we no. Prune those down leaves some of the time are the source. So most of the time when plants need a nutrient, the plant pick nutrient from that leaf downward to the fruit and the flowers. So you can see the importance of this. So from the source, that's how plants move nutrients inside the plant. So let's move on. Plant is made of CO, living cell, companion cell, provide energy, control loading and loading of sugar. So let's move on. So you can see that it's phloem that helps movement of food. Food production source, potential energy, glucose produced, glucose converted to sucrose, phloem loading cellular. So you can see how these things works. So I just want you to pick something from this that phloem helps what movement of what of food in the plant in the system. So water enter by osmosis. You can see high sugar connects to low potential. Water moves from the xylem phloem to by also. So they work together. This increased turbo pressure. This is the drive on transpiration, mass flow of food. So when plant take up nutrients, so it goes to what? into this phloem. So from the phloem, xylem transport water, so they work together. So from the xylem, water will come, move with the nutrient. So at fruit, root, flower, sugar removed from the phloem used for growth. They are used for what? Growth, respiration, storage. Water then exceeds phloem, return to xylem. So that's how it works. So we can see that they are bidirectional, but not in one tube at the same time. So, so that's how it is. Importance of translocation in crops. So for you can see that for fruit size and yield, plant translocation equals to small fruit. If your plant cannot translocate well, you have what? Have small fruit. So it means that if there is no movement of food, maybe due to stress or whatever in the plant, or they don't have enough, what comes to what? You can see, I don't know, maybe we discover that during this time, we have what? We have small, especially in tomatoes, now we have small fruits. This is because your plant is stressed. It cannot move what? It cannot move enough nutrients. So you cannot move nutrients inside your plant. So it restricts that. And your plant cannot take. If your plant is stressed, it's like someone that is stressed and you are now telling him that he needs to eat. I know some people they like food though, but at that time he just needs something that can cool him. They just need something where he can just cool down, maybe just come down from a very hot season and now tell him that come and eat hot rice. Be like, just give me something that can cool my body, give me cold water. So it's more something like that. So root depends on the rest on transmission sugar, which translocation occurs to weak root, flower and fruit sets. You can see the importance of translocation in plant. Fertilizer response, nutrients don't work alone without sugar movement. So let's move on, please. Wait a minute. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening.
Please let's give it up for Mr. Timmy. Let's give him a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Mr. Timmy, for using your time, using above your time, because right now we don't have enough time to um,
I'm really sorry about
let
that. I'm really sorry
to
about that.
we don't have enough time to receive questions now. But the thing is, I have dropped the link to our WhatsApp channel via the chat. So follow the WhatsApp channel. I will drop the link to this particular material on the WhatsApp channel so you can download and revise it. Also, the video, the recording of this class will be available on our YouTube channel. So for those of us that did not start the class, you can go to the YouTube channel and watch the video of the class. So from there, I don't think we can answer, we can receive any question now, but you can answer any question you want to ask via our YouTube channel, and we'll get back to you on it. So thank you everyone for joining the class this evening. We really appreciate your time and your resources you spent in the class today, and we hope to see you next week. Next week we'll be having another section. We'll be having another section. Okay, this person say she did not see any link. I'm dropping the link now. So this is the link to the WhatsApp channel. You can join the WhatsApp channel and you get every information you need. So happy weekend, everyone. Till when we meet again. Happy weekend, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much for joining.
Happy weekend, guys. Well done. Keep on the good works.